Hey guys and gals, excited to be back in front of the camera here. This is a very special video because this is my last video where I have to wear a hat because I'm getting my hair cut in 2 days and I could not be more excited. I am really pumped. So getting into the video, talking about Chosen Candle, which is one of the companies, technically the first company that I've started and gotten off the ground and made substantial effort in order to pursue it. I've actually engaged in starting at least 2 other companies, one of which was several years ago, and official companies. I've done side stuff. And then the other one is Jacobs and Friese, but that's still something that's developing and in the works and things like that. So I'm going to set that off to the side and focus on Chosen. And I kind of wanted to share with you, walk you through the process, walk you through the journey a little bit. And I thought it would be, interesting for those of you that are interested in kind of the entrepreneurship side, and then also kind of a little bit about the vision building that I'm working on for myself. So diving in, first off, the idea in itself. So if you haven't watched some of my previous videos, I have this basic idea of building a portfolio company which manages and has underneath it multiple different companies in different industries, because I have lots of different interests, lots of things I'd like to be engaged in, and that's an avenue that I see that might lead to success there. And so I wasn't originally thinking candles by any means. And what ended up happening was I was struggling with, all right, what's a business that I could get started? What's a business that I could get started? And then I came across, and I don't even remember how this happened, but I morphed into thinking about the idea of buying an existing business and then leveraging it. And I think it's because I had heard about another business that someone had been interested in selling, and then they ended up doing something different, but I got the idea germinating. And what ended up happening, I went home for family vacation. There was a young family who had started a candle business in Oregon who basically started it in order to help fund their adoption of this young girl that they wanted to adopt from India. And they were they had been able to fund everything, and they were looking to kind of sell the business and do some other things with their lives and whatnot. And so I thought, hey, this might be a really unique opportunity. This is kind of exactly what I was thinking about doing. My partner Daniel was my current partner. Daniel was interested in changing what he was doing for his where he was at in his career, and I basically found out about the idea, called Daniel and said, hey, what would you think about moving to Oregon? We both live in Virginia. Moving to Oregon and basically sliding in and taking over the running of this current company, which was doing over 6 figures annually in sales. And he was interested. And so then the next step was figuring out, how do we approach a purchase? And we didn't. Well, first of all, due to our general overall lack of credit from a business side of standpoint, we couldn't get traditional financing. And the business itself was only about 3 years old. And so even while it was generally speaking successful from a cash flow standpoint, it wasn't exactly a sustaining business that a bank or a typical loan institution would be interested in engaging with, or even like an individual investor. And so what we ended up doing is we ended up making a pitch that was built around kind of the previous 3 years, the last 3 years. It was technically like 3.5 years old. So previous 3 years sales, net sales, or net earnings. And then we added on a percentage, or not a percentage, but a certain amount from every candle that would be in perpetuity in order to help them. And then we tacked on an additional amount that we'd pay off over time. And our plan was to use the business and sales and growth of the business to pay that off. And the owners ended up going a different direction with someone that was able to offer them a lot more cash upfront than obviously we were, which is totally fine. But we kind of, as we were engaging with kind of the financials and the metrics behind what made the business worthwhile to begin with, was the making of the candles and selling of the candles and the margins there. And so we thought, hey, we can still engage with this. We'll start our own company. We'll do it over here in Virginia. And we're going to focus on this, what we want to do with it, which is to give back. And we wanted to target that towards helping those that were suffering from, or well, helping those that were tackling human trafficking. And so that was kind of a basis, but we didn't know what we wanted to call it. We weren't exactly sure. But in the while we were debating that, we ordered a bunch of samples. You can go on our Instagram, and we've got some pictures on there, and I'm sure there'll be more over time of kind of, I mean, there's just literally, we had like 15 different fragrances and 5 different waxes, and we were mixing different things, trying different things, Googling stuff, researching stuff. The family, gave us some tips, just general tips, and they were, helpful and very supportive. And so we were going through this process and just kind of filling stuff out. I drive over after work. It was about an hour away from me. And at one point, we were actually doing all of this in the shared home of an individual named Talia Olmsted, who owns White Hearth Pottery. And she came to us and said, "Hey, I'm actually engaging in building a Valentine's box, and this is in 2020, a Valentine's box this year. Would you be interested in having, your candle in it?" And we said, "Yeah, absolutely. What do you think of this scent?" We just kind of handed her the most recent one. And by that point, we'd worked out most of the details around how to make it and how to do it correctly. And she said, "Yeah, that sounds good." Then we had to come up with a scent. And so we spent like several days, well, I guess maybe it was 2 to 3 days brainstorming the scent, throwing together the marketing, taking pictures. And she did a lot of the heavy lifting there, and worked with her sister, who's a professional photographer. And we were just like going all out. I would stay there until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, drive home, go to bed, wake up, go to work, leave work around 4:30 if I could. Sometimes it had to be later, drive back out. And then we started working on this. And over the course of essentially 2 weeks, we had to get our name figured out. We had to get our logo figured out. We had to get the Valentine's box figured out and then built, because we wanted to hand make it, because we couldn't find anything that we liked that was just online. And then we had to kind of nail down, all the things that we were going to use for the candle: the jar, the lid, all of the, I mentioned the branding and the label. So it was 2 weeks of ridiculousness. We got really lucky because first of all, we were able to find someone who, through recommendation of someone else who wasn't available in the branding space, to help us with developing the brand, developing the logo and things like that. And she happened to have a couple days that were available, and so she jumped all over it and was amazing. And I'll make sure and tag her down below as well. And as we were engaging with her, trying to figure out all of those details, we were then simultaneously going to Home Depot, buying boards, ripping boards. We were working weekends. I took 1 or 2 days off, and we just literally were working straight through, like sleeping like 6 hours and cutting boards and putting the boxes together. And then we were nail gunning them together, sanding them down. And at the end of the day, in 2 weeks, we all of a sudden had the brand. My sister Cambria helped us reach out to a bunch of Instagram influencers who were willing to share. And through that, we found some really awesome people that are super supportive. And I'm really excited that we get to work with them and have gotten to work with them. So we got the word out, and essentially, we ended up doing decently well. It wasn't as well, I think, as we were expecting up front. But there are a couple components to that. I think one was pricing. 2 is certainly newness of the brand. Over the course of us running and developing this, we ended up with 300 followers on our Instagram right out of the gate, which was amazing. And all due to all this work that people were willing to help us with in terms of building an online platform, sharing about us. And we have some highlights on our Instagram. You can go see all these awesome people that were being amazing and just blessing us with giving of their time and of their, sharing their platform with us, honestly. And so that's kind of the story of how we got started. And since then, since then to where we're at now, we added 2 more scents. We have a total of 3 scents now. We've got some others that are in the works because we want to be able to offer a full cadre of options. We've kind of shaved down on the aesthetic to where it's a lot. It's still very simple, but I think more cute, more beautiful. Do I have one with here? There, you can see it online. And there, it's in the video. It's official now. And so that is that brought us to where we are at now, which is a lot more of an attractive product, which was important because when you're talking about Instagram aesthetic and talking about being able to communicate with your with the brands, with the people that are interested in buying, that is a big component. And I'm not a super creative person, and so I have to rely on people who have more of an eye for that, creative beauty, I guess is maybe how I would put it. And we reworked the logo a little bit. But we still have the whole hand reaching out. It's kind of it is kind of a recognition or a reflection of the painting of where God is reaching out towards Adam. And then we added shackles on the hand that's, Adam's hand because of the mission. And that was, that's really cool. And that was a total tag team effort between Daniel and I, bouncing ideas back and forth, and all of a sudden it blossomed in the matter of a few minutes, essentially on the phone, and said, hey, can we create this? So anyway, that's where we're at now. And kind of the next steps in our strategy is, so I'm trying to work on the marketing, which means all the posts that you see, all of the Instagram stories that you see are things I'm trying to figure out how to put together online. I use Canva, and I've been trying to figure it out, and I've definitely made mistakes. You can go look at, I'm leaving current posts up right now because I want people to see, look, this is the raw us. This is, I guess the raw me, I shouldn't blame Daniel. But that's kind of what I've been working on, what I've been trying to do. And then we're also endeavoring to see what it would look like to get on Amazon, because when someone thinks, hey, I need to buy a candle, they go to Amazon, right? They don't search Chosen Candle or anything like that just on Google. And so we're trying to figure out how best to get in front of those kinds of eyes. And then I'm simultaneously working on building and developing an affiliate program for Instagram influencers or people who have a platform on Instagram who'd be willing to partner with us in order to hopefully regularly and consistently share about the brand with their followers, so that we can then hopefully develop a community of people who hopefully love the candle. We've really striven hard to make sure it's quality candle, and it's not junk. It's actually really, really good. And so we want to build both an excellent product and then an awesome community around that, which will then give us the platform and the ability to we're gonna do it one way or the other, support different companies or different organizations that are engaged in countering human trafficking, and do a little bit of our part there. And so that's kind of like the big picture, the quick picture of how Chosen started, where it came from, and how we got to where we are at today. That all happened over the course of the last 5 months, and it's been amazing. Even just getting the business started in 2 weeks, getting all the things I mentioned, plus all the business stuff like bank accounts, our LLC, all these different components, all the legal documentation, which, it's not exactly my expertise or any of our expertise. And so we were truly blessed, and it's been an awesome journey. And I think that, at the end of the day, my takeaway, and the thing that I always have to remind myself whenever I'm maybe not as interested in putting up another post, or I'm not feeling creatively engaged, or I'm tired and, I don't want to schedule that interview, or whatever it is around building the brand, I remind myself that, we're doing this and we're building this. And I wrote it down so I would be able to speak it clearly. We are building something to help others. And we don't have to do this. I have a full-time job. I have a career if I want to stick to just doing that. And Daniel has a job. He's amazingly intelligent and capable and awesome and with an incredible work ethic, and he doesn't need this. So we don't have to do this. But in another way, we do have to do this because it's part of who we want to be. And I have to remind myself of that. Say, hey, this is who you want to be. This is something you have to do. Get your butt in gear. And, we're going to make it happen. Even if it takes years, and we're going to build it one small step at a time. Because that's the only way that we're going to be able to do it consistently and then ultimately achieve the success that we want to achieve with the brand. And again, it's not really about the brand being a success in and of itself, but it's about being able to be in a position where we can help others that we wouldn't be able to be in otherwise. So thank you for joining this video. I hope you found it interesting. If you have questions, want to follow up, throw comments down below. Send me an email. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. All of those are linked down below. And if you thought this was an interesting video, if you think others might be interested in it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in more content, I'm going to continue to develop different things going forward. And you can find me here on YouTube, which if you're interested in that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. For those who don't check your YouTube subscriptions on a daily basis like I do, you should hit the bell because then you will know when there's some awesome new content available for you. Have an awesome rest of your day, your evening, your morning, wherever you are at, and I hope you are doing well. Choose awesomeness and choose to pursue the things that you feel will define who you want to be, because that is the only path forward. Take care.